Thank you very much. Let me start by recognizing the chair of the ICJ. Let me also recognize my very good friends who are present in this assembly, my good friend Evan Zogada, Freda Thuk. These were some of my better students, but the bad ones became politicians. And to also welcome my very good friend whom I met for the first time about 2 hours ago, has come all the way from Tel Aviv to visit with us. Mulugeta is from Tel Aviv, but aboriginally from Eritrea. Welcome to Kenya. I've had the advantage of listening to the submissions that have been made before my invitation, and I associate myself with what has been said. I've just sent to the chair an image of The Advocate, which was a magazine of the Law Society of Kenya, which was published on the 2nd day of November 1992. I was the editor of that particular edition. And it was just before the first multi-party elections. And the same things that we said then are the very same things that remain relevant today. We come here to interrogate what democracy is. I will not give you a typical keynote address. I'll simply identify a number of issues on the basis of which you can then continue with your long day or with your day-long debate. Last night, I was watching the results of the elections that had been called in Canada, snap elections. Canada has 38 million registered voters. Kenya in the year 2022 had slightly under 23 million voters. As the votes were being counted, the winning candidate called the election in his favor. And 1 hour later, the losing candidate gave a speech conceding defeat. Not so long ago, another snap election was called in Germany. Germany has 58 million plus registered voters. Within 1 hour of the closing of the voting, the winning candidate had called the elections and the losing candidate had conceded. In our country, you would still be at Bomas of Kenya, deciding whether 1 + 1 is 2 or 3. We would have printed ballot papers whose cost is more expensive than our currency, and they would have been printed in Greece. We can't count. We have individuals who think that people representation is life and death, and they actually cause death. And we cheer them. We cheer them because they come from our tribes. We cheer them because they have bribed us. We may be in boardrooms before the elections and speak very soberly, but on the day of the election, we are Luo, we are Kikuyu, we are Kamba, we are Kalenjin, we are Bukus. Until we liberate ourselves from that sad reality, we'll never earn the dividends of good governance. Today, I'm reluctant to use the word democracy. Because what is it? John Hendricks Clark that great American said that when African countries regained their independence, not a single one of them adopted a government system that is based on African traditions. We all adopted systems that were inherited from our erstwhile colonizers, and Clark says none of us will ever succeed on the basis of those systems. And I can't agree more. Look at Africa today. As I speak, Sudan. Look at Sudan. Look at Somalia. Look at Democratic Republic of Congo. Look at the entire Sahel. In Guinea, Doumbouya had to mount a coup d'etat. In Niger, they had to mount a coup d'etat. In Mali, Atimi Goita had to mount a coup d'etat. In Burkina, Ibrahim Traore had to mount a coup d'etat. In Gabon, Nguema had to mount a coup d'etat. There may have been successful elections in Botswana and in Namibia, but those are few and far between. We must interrogate this thing we call democracy. In Kenya, the people you call leaders, don't listen to them when they are in podiums in Nairobi. No. Listen to them when they are speaking in their mother tongue at funerals, when they are their true selves. They are Bukusus or Maragoli speaking Mulembe nation, or they are Kambas, or they are Kikuyus, or they are Luos. Their political parties don't matter. That is why there is not a single presidential candidate that has contested an election after 5 years in the same political party. As I said before, the forests change, but the monkeys remain the same, with the same habits. And let me tell you, if you continue doing the same thing in the same way, thinking that will change, nothing will change. I now see individuals across the country congregating, and you call them opposition. These were individuals who were in the Moi government. They were in the Kibaki government. They were in the Uhuru government. What is new about them? Nothing except their insatiable greed for power and the privileges that power offers. So we are assembled here to ask critical and serious questions. I've been around. I was here in 1980s. I was here in 1990s when the entire movement of change the Constitution was alive and well. I was in the Council of the Law Society. I've been here and I've seen Kenyans repeatedly electing individuals in the name of democracy who in other parts of the world would be completely unelectable. We elect comedians. And as one wise man, is it Albert Einstein, who said, when you elect a comedian to take him or her to the palace becomes a circus. And that is why we have what we have today. What is the value of knowing that which is right without doing that which is right? I keep on hearing Kenyans saying, we have a beautiful constitution. What is the beauty of a constitution which you honor and breach? What is it? You know, in 1967, the late Tanzanian President Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere was asked, what is the secret of development? And he said in Kiswahili, siri ya maendeleo ni watu, ardhi na siasa safi. And he added, siri ya maendeleo ni vijana wenye malezi bora, siha njema na bongo kali. And then he said, ukimwona mtu anakimbia sana kwenda Ikulu, mkwepe kama ukoma. Kwani kuna biashara gani Ikulu? He posed rhetorically. Ikulu ni mahali patakatifu, musilibadilishe kuwa pango la walanguzi. We Kenyans hold meeting after meeting in boardroom after boardroom, in workshop after workshop, but we are unmoved and untouched. The question is, when will we have our journey to Damascus, like Saul of Tarsus, that we may change? Are we ready for the change? Are we prepared to do that which is right and good because it is right and good? I was involved in the process of making the Constitution jointly with others for 5 years. We produced the Boma's draft. We made many recommendations, some of which were retained in the current Constitution. We said Nairobi should not be a county. You made it into a county. We said we should have no more than 18 counties. Between 14 and 18, you created 47 of devolved units, each of which a governor thinks he or she is running a country. The United States of America has only 50 states with a GDP of 23 trillion United States dollars. Nigeria has only 37 states. India 37. China 30 provinces. South Africa 9 provinces. We have 47 counties with 47 governors, 47 deputy governors, 47 speakers, 47 deputy speakers. And you tell me that we are going to grow? When a county raises 400 million in a year and consumes 2 billion in a year, we can't grow. Even if there is divine intervention. We can pray and fast all we want. But nothing is going to change until we change. We have individuals in positions of leadership who do not care. They are unmoved and untouched. You accuse an individual of engaging in corruption. He has a mob around him, escorting him to the offices of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. And he comes out and gives a press conference. Corruption is the most profitable business in Kenya today. You have individuals whose salaries, even if they lived for 1,000 years and worked for 1,000 years, would not buy them half an acre of land, and they are multi-billionaires. They have never won any lottery, never made any discovery, and we celebrate them as successful men and women, and we elect them to boot. As Dr. Waindi said, I grew up partly in Maringo, partly in Jericho, partly in Eastleigh, partly in my rural home in Usenge, in Imbo, in Siaya County. When I was sick, You would go to the dispensary and you would find medication. Today, unless you are suicidal, you don't visit any of those outfits. When our leaders are delivering children, they go to the United States of America. And we are not angry. We are told that our police officers, and is in the public domain, collect 13.3 billion in bribes in a month, and we are not angry. Young Kenyans, the task is yours. Choose you now. Whether you want to be Kambas and Luos and Luhias and Kikuyus, or you want to be Kenyans, with the tribe only being for cultural reasons. Samora Moises Machel said, if the new African nation is to thrive, the tribe must die. Not that you cease to identify yourself as such, but it cannot be the basis for decision making. That I'm voting for an individual because he's from my ethnic group, that is the only qualification. That they gave me 200 shillings, that is the justification. We must rethink governance. Today, we have a parliament whose only claim to fame is that they have insatiable appetite for our taxes. Our parliamentarians relative to our GDP are the best paid in the world. In the world. They want CDF, not because they want to serve us. Ask each one of them how many companies they have formed, where their drivers and brothers and sisters and house helps are the directors. Ask them. Ask them whether they do not trade with the counties and with the constituencies that they run. Ask the MCA whether that is not true. Ask them how they become multi-millionaires within 2 years of joining public office. Ask them. Ask them why, when the courts have declared CDF to be unconstitutional, why they want to constitutionalize it, whether we like it or not. It is a slush fund. And you know, your typical Kenyan politician thinks that we have the memory of a mosquito and a warthog combined. That is why they don't care about us. The time is now that we must demonstrate that our civic duty not only demands but requires that we make demands of them. This is not the time for cowards who die times without number. Because if you are a coward today, your children and children's children will pay the price of our cowardice. We must speak out and bear the consequences. Yesterday, the 29th day of the month of April in the year 2025, you saw how 6 individuals were killed in cold blood. And nothing will happen to them. That is the tragedy. A culture of lawlessness and impunity has taken root in our country. So when you talk about democracy, what is it? It is not true that we did not know democracy, no. It is not true that democracy came from Greece. That was the Greek definition of democracy. When it came to the United States of America, Abraham Lincoln said of it that it was a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That was their definition of it. In the year 1235, in amongst the Mande people, they were already having a Mandean charter. At that time, we did not have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. There were orderly kingdoms in Africa. But the democracy that we are trying to practice is the neo-colonial version that was bequeathed to us by the colonizers. You come to Kenya, we still try to mimic the British. You go to former French colonies, they are trying to mimic the French. You go to former Portuguese colonies, they are trying to mimic the Portuguese. Until the day that we exercise the ghost of mimicry, we are going nowhere. That is why when you go to our parliament, a member of parliament cannot pronounce a word without saying, Mr. Speaker, sir, make your point. Mr. Speaker, sir, cannot be form and part of a speech. And you look at your speaker, he is dressed in wool that was used in medieval Europe, and you think that that is a badge of honor. You go to our courts, you find our judges are equally dressed in things that ought to belong to the Museum of History alongside the spinning wheel. And we think it is a badge of honor. You come to our leaders, they still want to be addressed as His Excellency or the Right Honorable something. Titles that were used in medieval Europe. We must change. And we are only going to change when you, the young generation, my friend Habib, in Kariobangi, and I know that area well. We work there even as I speak. Go out there and speak a different language. When we were growing up in Jericho, it did not matter whether one was Kikuyu. We didn't even know. It's only later that we knew that Kariuki was a Kikuyu name. And Wafula was a Luhya name. Today, you see the government advertising a post and they put there, John Lukoe, Luhya. John Joroge, Kikuyu. Go out there in Kariobangi and change minds. Those of you who are from Kibera and Katwekera, go out there and change minds. If you are from Kaloleni, go out and change minds. And just don't be in Nairobi, go out there. In Kilifi, let ICJ not be a boardroom arrangement where we speak to ourselves in English. Nendeni mkazungumza na watu kwa Kiswahili na lugha zao za mama. Hilo ndilo jambo ambalo lazima tulitekeleze ikiwa tunataka kulibadilisha taifa hili. Kwa kuwa taifa imepigwa ngeta kwa lugha ya mtaa. Na wahuni tunaowaita viongozi. Na wahuni hawana haya. Siri ya ubinadamu ni kuwa na haya. Watu ambao tunaita viongozi Kenya hawana haya. Wanaua hawana haya. Wanaiba hawana haya. Wakati ni sasa tuwe ni watu ambao tuna haya. Na tusiogope. Tuwe wajasiri. Uchaguzi ni mwaka 2027. Ikiwa ningeulizwa, hiki kizazi cha wanasiasa ambao tunaona wakiranda, wakipiora, tunawafahamu. Nyerere alikuwa akisema wasipong'atuka tuang'atue. Na tuna uwezo wa kuang'atua kwa njia za kupiga kura. Uamuzi ni wenu. Amueni. Amueni. Na namalizia hivi. Namaliza kwa kumtaja na kutumia mfano aliyoutoa tena Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere. Hakuna kiongozi katika bara hili ambalo amelishughulikia jambo hili kumpita Mwalimu Nyerere. Akizungumzia mambo ya utawala, alisema tatizo la Mwafrika katika mambo haya ya kura ni kwamba Mwafrika ameleweshwa na kasumba ya ukoloni mambo leo. Na kulewa huko kunatokana na vitu viwili. Ama mpiga kura ni mjinga au ni mpumbavu. Na akasema tena Mwalimu, mjinga akiambiwa ataelewa na atabadilika. Sasa naombeni muende katika mitaa na kila pembe za nchi hii, mtoe ujinga. Mwambie kila mtu ukabila na udini haitawasaidia. Na pia akasema ya kwamba kuna wapumbavu. Mpumbavu ni mtu ambaye amepumbaa. Hata ukimweleza hasikii. Ni wachache sana wapumbavu. Mkimwona mpumbavu mkwepe kama ukoma. Na mwisho kabisa naenda kule Ugiriki. Wagiriki walipozungumzia mambo haya ya kidemokrasia, na nitaeleza kwa Kiingereza ili na wengine waelewe. The Greeks divided their population, as you famously know, into 3 categories. Idiots. Idiots are individuals who may have gone to school. They have degrees, PhD, they are professors, but they are idiots. They do not make demands of their representatives. When there are potholes on the road, they buy 4-wheel drive cars. When there is insecurity, they hire security firms. Gardewald from Canada, Fargo from the United States, 4GS from the United Kingdom. Those are idiots. They think that they are immune. They are cursed to their countries. Then there are tribalists who think that their security and safety lies with their tribesmen. Wenu ni wenu, they say kwa Kiswahili. Wanasema yours is yours. Mokamba kevindio. Oduadu. Modo wa nyuba. Those are tribalists. Shenu ne shenu murembe. Those are tribalists, and they are a danger to our country. The third category are citizens. The people who look at Kenya and they know that Kenya belongs to us and the generations yet to be born. And they want good roads. They want good schools where you do not know whether you are in CBC or CBE. You never know what we are doing. They want security. They want opportunities for our young men and women. They don't want our young men and women to be exported to Myanmar, to be exported to the Arab world in modern day slavery. Those are citizens. Today, I'm urging you to be citizens of the Republic of Kenya. Because when you are citizens of the Republic of Kenya, you will be good citizens of Africa, East Africa, and good citizens of the continent of Africa, and good citizens of the world. So go out there and do that which is good and right, in the knowledge that we have men and women in positions of authority who do not care and think that they are larger than life, almost as large as death. But remind them that they are lived a Mobutu, in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Remind them. Remind them that they are lived as Jean Bedel Bokassa in Central African Republic. Remind them. Remind them that they are lived Bongo in Gabon. Remind them. Remind them that they are lived Jean-Claude Duvalier in Haiti. Remind them that they are lived Fez al-Assad and Bashar al-Assad in Syria, and they are no more. Remind them. God bless you.
I am honestly speechless. That was the right context for this meeting. Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you for the reflections around what is democracy. Thank you for asking us to strip away our tribal burdens, because whereas we wear culture proudly, sometimes it weighs us down and it does not enable us to think critically and make the right decisions. But you know what I will do? I will not go deep into what Professor has said, because the next session is exactly that. We will have the rare opportunity to ask specific questions to our keynote addressee. So prepare those questions. Those reflections that you were jotting down, prepare them. We will only take a few questions in the interest of time, very few questions. So and I think I felt the spirit telling me that in the interest of time, we will take very few questions. So I will ask a few people to raise their hands, then I will remember you. So don't wait to be the last, because you might not get that opportunity. So I will only take a few questions from the floor.
Naomba niulize maswali. Na hata nikosolewe. Kuna swali ndugu Habibu? Au maoni? Because they are normal. Thank you.
Good morning, fellow taxpayers. Fellow Kenyans, habari zenyu. I stand here proud. My name is Prince Brian Kamau. I come from Kiambu County. But more than that, I am a product of Bunge Mashinani Initiative, a product of Uraia Trust, a product of you, Professor, and proudly now I can say I'm a product of ICJ Kenya. I stand with a lot of pain from what I've heard from the speakers before me. And not just the speakers before me, but the very many people that I represent down in my village. My grandmother, who now currently walks with a limp after the freedom that they have fought for. I stand with a lot of pain from the young people of this nation, knowing that we were at a good trajectory. I hear stories where my county, Kiambu County, would give deni to a whole nation of Tanzania. Currently, I have my governor can stand proudly and say that the fight that we are seeing in our county is all political. I stand with a lot of pain, Professor, knowing that we could be in the same league with Singapore today. But the truth of the matter is, that is the absolute difference. In the Bible, Jesus Christ bet a lot of people in the temple when he said, "We have turned the house of my father into a house of business." I cry today for our parliament, because we have turned that holy house into a house of business. I stand today with a lot of pain, knowing that from the area I come from, we chose a young person to represent us. But because the mentors of this young person are the people who are destroying this nation, he has followed the same route. I stand with a lot of pain, Professor. Today I can tell you proudly, we acknowledge the fact that as the young people, we had a part to play in 2022 and we failed. But 2022 is past. On a daily basis, I have to wake up and fight for my country. Regardless of the fact that I am a chemist in profession, governance is not my route. This is not a hobby. This is not something I had even thought I'd engage myself in. But today, because of that chemistry that I have studied in high school, in campus, it cannot help me today. I have to fight for my country. It pains me that we lost the likes of Dedan Kimathi, fighting against a colonial government, only for us to come and install a government of colonialists who are the same color as we are. I stand with a lot of pain, knowing the fight that you guys, the guys before us, you know, people say that the Gen Zs are the people who have come to bring revolution in this nation. No. The revolution began way before I was born. I stand with a lot of pain knowing that regardless of the fact that last year we lost a lot of comrades, I watched the documentary by BBC and I was shattered. I was on the streets. I could have been one of those who fell. I acknowledge the fact that there are those who have fallen way before us. But still to date, we are still talking of the same problems. Professor, I can assure you, as a person who represents the young people of this nation, as a person who has been empowered by you, by ICJ, by Uraia Trust, by Bunge Mashinani, that we shall not stop. When we say must go out there in the streets, we talk of him and the whole institution he represents. We shall strip it down to the MCAs at our local wards. This is a declaration of war. Never again shall we have to fight for this nation. No, it's enough. I have a younger brother, he is 2 in July. I will not want him to go through the same struggle that I have. The same way my parents, you guys have not allowed us to go through the same struggle that you guys have, you guys passed through. As I conclude, I know for the sake of time, this one is very passionate to me. Our country is in a situation where daily to day basis, we are misprioritizing our priorities. Currently, SHIFSHA is not working, university funding model is not working. As I was coming here today, I saw high school students going home because of capitation, of course. Yet, there is a bill in Parliament where we want now to legalize the NGCDF and we want to constitutionalize a Senate oversight fund. Professor, we share the same pain. Thank you very much.
Let's take those two and then I
small caveat to the other questions. Please keep it short. But that was important, and I thank you for that. That was good. Thank you.
Were we really listening to a chemist?
Prof, my name is Patrick Ocheng. I live in Mombasa, and I just wanted to ask you a small question. Why is the political sphere in Kenya and all over the globe attracting so much less talented individuals? When you talk about Nyerere and others, it means politics used to attract folks with a lot of talent. Why today does it attract individuals that are so much less talented, who engage in obscene entertainment, binge borrowing, and really just a lot of crazy stuff?
See, my friend Kimeo is growing a beard quite.
Thank you, Prof. I feel inspired. I'll go directly to my question. I think you have talked about the looters, the killers, coming out as the liberators, and maybe the so-called opposition. For me, I believe we, the Kenyans, are the opposition because sovereignty power belongs to us. But how do we help our community identify leaders of integrity, ethical leaders? Because today we talk about presidential candidates, it is the same people. that always will linger into our minds. So then how do we help our communities? Then the other question is, what are you doing, and maybe the future plans that you have in terms of guiding and mentoring young people so that they can be able to take the leadership position? Because yes, I vied in the last general election, but the challenge, tribe, lack of resources, and are you the son of who? So how again do we go about these? So you have talked about the tribe, stripping of the tribalism. How do we deal with the issue of tribe? Practical way on how we can be able to dismantle tribalism in our country.
Thank you.
Must be annoyed with you on his name.
Thank you, Prof. It's an honor to actually ask you this. My name is Samantha Lubulwa. I'm a NOREC fellow. I'm from Uganda, and I'm working with ICJ. I look up to you so much. You're like my compass direction. So this goes to you. You quoted in your statement and you said, if we continue doing the same thing in the same way, we won't see change. As youth here, all of us are passionate about change. However, we lack direction. As a person who has lived through all these generations, give us a way. What more new thing can we do? We acknowledge the fact that we live in different environments, and we've also been told that history repeats itself. I guess that's why the Gen Zs had to protest and they were killed, because this is what they've grown up knowing this. Maji Maji Rebellion, Nyangire Rebellion. Success has always been through rebelling, then you are attacked, some die, then some win. But then we see that even with the Gen Z protest, we didn't see any success. Still, the things that they died for are still existing. So as the youth who are passionate, I mean, we had people dying because of that. Maybe if they were guided to a better route, if we have to get a think tank and think of better ways of creating change than following the old norm, maybe we could change. So my question still goes back. What new thing can we do to create the change that we need? We are passionate. We want to create the change. We just lack direction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me take those. One of the things that I've learned over the years, first of all, I start with my good friend Patrick's question. Oh, that I go here. Okay. You know, in the year 2006, I had this conversation. My friend Kimeu knows. And we formed a political party. And this happened at a time when I'd been talking to an institution which I will not name. But the individuals in that institution said, go out and offer yourself and others. We held meetings. And we founded a party called Chama Cha Uzalendo. Go back and see. I think I left it several years ago when I was going into other public spaces. And I contested in 2007, and I've written a book about it, a book called A Call for Political Hygiene in Kenya, or Sanitizing Kenyan Politics. My experience during that process. I held 250 meetings like this in Kamukunji, complete with a manifesto written. The then director of the World Bank was here, and he was my good friend, and he went with me to what is now the Juakali in Kamukunji. We had a meeting with them, and he said, if you elect this man, we are going to come and invest here to demonstrate what can be done. 250 meetings. I paid no money. Only 2 people gave me money. One was Wala bin Wala, I can mention. The other one gave me anonymously. 1 million Kenya shilling. I spent $500,000, and the rest, I asked him, what do I do with it? He said, use it in your foundation. On the day of the voting, I was voting at a place next to Mudhurwa, Landis. I saw busloads of people from Kiambu being brought by my opponent. So the people I was campaigning amongst, those who are Luos had registered in Kibera, those who are Luhias had registered in Kawangware. I was speaking to people who are not voters in Kamukunji. And if you remember very well what happened in that election, there was no declared winner. We found ballot boxes in Bahati and other places. I immediately complained to my good teacher and friend, Aaron Ringera, who was then the director of Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission. If you read my book, I've reproduced both my letter to Ringera and his reply to me. Ultimately, the court declared that one Mr. Mbugu had won the election. We do not know by what margin and what, but he was declared. It taught me one thing. People are not interested in ideas. The electorate has not reached that stage. Today is even worse. There is a friend of mine who in the last election wanted to contest in Game constituency, and he went there thinking he would tell them that the young people told him, no, we know what you want to tell us, just give us money. Another one declared that he wanted to be a candidate, and immediately announced in Nairobi there were over 100 people in his rural home. He renounced and he said, I'm no longer contesting. What we have are kakistocracies, governments by our very worst, kleptocratic kakistocracies. And we can only liberate ourselves from such situation through civic empowerment. Which brings me to your question. You now have a testimony, like I do, that I tried. It is not going to be easy. It may not happen in your lifetime. That is what you must know, that the good things you want may not happen in your lifetime. Your duty is to play your part. That part that you play is your contribution. The contribution you are now making is perhaps much bigger than an MCA and a member of parliament. And you are doing it out of passion and out of love. You are a chemist. You are here out of love and passion for your country. Rebellion is the nature of human beings. We'll always rebel. We'll always seek that which is better and superior. And when I want to be cynical, I said that rebellion started in heaven itself. So who are we? The bug of rebellion will always be with us. And that is why Corazon Aquino, how many of you here remember Corazon Cojuangco Aquino, the lady who was the president of Philippines? He said that when you talk about democracy in an environment where people are enlightened, you are talking about nothing but a confederacy of fools. Democracy or good governance requires a people who understand why they are voting. Today, you go to certain countries, you see that feeling. People may say all they want about Rwanda, but I see that feeling. There's that level of civic awareness. They are not perfect. People may say all they want about Tanzania, but I see something. I see in Tanzania, they are good friends of mine. They are people who are senior government position. A good friend of mine who is the Deputy Prime Minister, Doto Biteko. Just listen to him when he is talking and he's addressing serious issues. Sobriety. I want you to see, yesterday Mzee Wasira of CCM was responding to our own Martha Karua. I want you to see Wasira's response. How measured it was. No insults. Something happening there. Will we see the fruits of it now? No. In Botswana, you can see something there. In Namibia, we can see something there. So let us always also remember that when we talk about Africa, it's not as if we have lost it all. No. There are things, good things happening in the continent, just as there are good things and bad things happening in Europe. They are now fighting in Ukraine, killing each other. You must never give up. He's asking what I'm doing. What I'm doing, I've been doing since the year 1994. I believe our foundation, which is present in every county in this country, present in 46 African countries, working with young people. He has come. I've never met him until 3 hours ago. He saw the work of our foundation in Tel Aviv. in Israel, and he is from Eritrea, and he's come here to work with us. It means, whether you like us or not, that we are doing something right. Yeah, something that awakens the spirit. And this is why when I see people, and there are people who have been doing good things, I ended there. My good friend Athuok, Kimel, we have been with Kimel for donkey years, Evans Ogada, and many others who have been doing things. You are all making a contribution. I'm now answering your question. Never despair. In 1947, when Ghana's Kwame Nkrumah was about to join Lincoln University in the United States, he was asked to write a one-page statement of what he wanted to do, and this is what he said: so much to be done, so little time. And that is the reality for all of us. So much to be done, so little time. Make your contribution. And that contribution you make, it is our own Wangare Muta Maathai, who several years gave the story of a hummingbird. And he said the hummingbird only brings a mouthful of water in an attempt to put out the fire. Who knows whether it's just that little mouthful that was necessary to put out the fire. So let us go out there courageous. It is the Chinese, and I think we Africans to say, when you are planning for 1 year, plant rice. When you are planning for 10 years or whatever number of years, plant trees. But when you are planning for a generation, plant ideas in human beings. Make sure that within your own sphere, you create positively individuals who are touched by your word, and never fear people who will be better than you. A good teacher is one who produces pupils and students who are better than him or her. That is what it is. If you are afraid of ideas, then go home and sit and never be seen. And if you think that things are going to be easy, that which is easy is not worth doing. You must bear the consequences. So I have no doubt in my mind that all of you, Ochieng there comes from Mombasa. I'm sure you get frustrated. It can be frustrating. But never give up. Frustrated you will be, but never give. Kimeo, as I conclude. You know, there was a time I was the director of the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission. I went into a forum such as this, and somebody asked, what does the Kenya Anti-Corruption do to eliminate corruption? And I told the individual, the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission, which is the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, has only 200 employees. What is corruption? I asked. I asked the individual, are you a Christian? Yes. Do the 10 Commandments say, thou shalt not steal? Yes. Have you stopped stealing? Because that is what corruption is all about. The Bible has not stopped you from stealing. The Hindu Gita has not stopped you from stealing. The Quran has not stopped you from stealing. Then you think that the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission or the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is going to stop you from stealing? No. It is you who must make the decision that you are not going to engage in criminality. And as a society, we must choose to punish individuals who engage in criminality. You will remember that the law to abolish my office as Director of Anti-Corruption Commission was passed at midnight to abolish our offices. Because we had asked that several cabinet ministers be arrested. At midnight. The people whom we want arrested, some of them are now governors. 2 days. 3 days. 4 days. 5 days. 6 days. 7 days. 8 days. 9 days. 10 days. 11 days. 12 days. 13 days. 14 days. 15 days. 16 days. 17 days. 18 days. 19 days. 20 days. 21 days. 22 days. 23 days. 24 days. 25 days. 26 days. 27 days. 28 days. 29 days. 30 days. 31 days. 32 days. 33 days. 34 days. 35 days. 36 days. 37 days. 38 days. 39 days. 40 days. 41 days. 42 days. 43 days. 44 days. 45 days. 46 days. 47 days. 48 days. 49 days. 50 days. 51 days. 52 days. 53 days. 54 days. 55 days. 56 days. 57 days. 58 days. 59 days. 60 days. 61 days. 62 da And ministers, as I speak, I see them, wanajifanya, wanajitapa, wanaomba, wanaenda kanisani tu. Wengi tu. Wanaenda msikitini. And Kenyans, wanawashabikia. I remember when I was at the anti-corruption one day, one of the thieves whom we had said should be arrested came to the Kenya anti-corruption officers at the Integrity Center, and young people were singing, ni mwizi wetu. Ni mwizi lakini ni mwizi wetu. Ni mwizi lakini ni mwizi wetu. He's a thief, but he's our thief. So, the decision is yours. But we can change it. If you don't succeed, your children will. If they don't succeed, their children's children will. So don't despair, my young lady from the Republic of Uganda. Don't despair. Right now, you can see what they are trying to do to eliminate my good friend Ibrahim Traore. Survived many assassination attempts. Because when you are doing good, they'll take you out. It is Samora Moises Machel who once said, when you hear the former colonizers saying you are good, you must pause and ask yourself, what evil are you committing against your people? So, ladies and gentlemen, I wish all of us well. Remember that none of us has a solution to our national problem. It is combined that we can have a solution. But one thing that I'm passionate about is that we must be Kenyan citizens. Our country is lonely. It is lonely because tribalists are the ones who are at the helm. They congregate from hotel to hotel. And when they go to such meetings, they bring their tribes as mortgage in the political, as collateral in the political mortgage market. So they go there and say, I'm from this tribe. This is the collateral that I bring to the political mortgage market. And we have a basket of votes which come 2027 is going to catapult us. I am urging you today there to go out and to begin to say, wasipong'atuka watang'atuliwa. Wasipong'atuka watang'atuliwa. Thank you.